All right, let me go ahead and get this camera adjusted real quick. All right, divine awakening, celestial afternoon, and divinity at night. To the beautiful entity watching this video, it's your divine reflection, divine messenger about another message, and understand. Before we even get into this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share for more divine messages, especially if you enjoyed it. And two, make sure you like the video because it's free for a reason. And two, we can get this video into the algorithm to help other people out. But I don't want to waste your time because this goddess asked a great divine question, basically. If God were speaking, could you hear? Would you? I like these questions because, for one, thank y'all for being transparent with your questions and not being afraid to add something to a contradictor that practices a double-edged sword through the tongue and the consciousness of my subconscious thoughts. If God were speaking, could you hear? For one, yes and no. So to those questions, yes and no, because for one, the Almighty creation speaks right now through different formats. So through ignorance and higher divinity. Let's start with we gotta start with the negative aspect. So if God were speaking to you, yes, you will be hearing it through ignorance. I'm trying to make sure I repeat it because I don't have my iPad out. I'm trying to make sure I get the question aligned. But so the way the Almighty speaks to you through a subconscious process, it'll be called ignorance. Meaning, for example, right now I can hear the Almighty creation speaking to me and I'm articulating it through my English subconscious mind. Meaning that this whole video is me listening to Almighty God's perception or thoughts, but I don't have to hear the thoughts because, for one, you can't actually hear the angelic frequency of Almighty God. But subconsciously, you can hear the demonic program of Satan's frequency through Lucifer's enlightenment that comes from Almighty God. Because, for one, Satan wouldn't be Satan without Almighty God's divinity or creation of creation. Because of that, when you hear Almighty God subconsciously, that's practiced through the English language. It can be Hispanic, it can be like Spanish, it can be Egyptian. It doesn't even matter what language it is or what ethnicity it comes from. But if somebody's speaking to you through their tongue, that's ignorance, but that is still God talking to you. But that's the satanic frequency of Almighty God's higher perception or a meditative state that Almighty God is in right now. On top of that, Almighty God is speaking to me through this waterfall, through the crickets, through the birds, through just different beings out in nature. Nature is talking to me. If all these things are talking to me in this dimension, that is ignorance, because in a higher realm of existence, so I'm going to give you an example or an experience that I'm living in right now. Mentally, my mind is in a quantum realm of astral. It's basically in alignment with higher realms that the mind can comprehend. Well, my mind can comprehend, but not everybody can comprehend that. But I know that subconsciously I am stuck in my 3D dimension, which is why I had to align both alignments within my body, my perception of my mind, and how I feel about it by loving myself and hating what I'm living in, because I love to lie through love. Because of that, in the quantum realm, in my Sirius star system, by me being in the astrals, the ether, by me being just a higher consciousness or an ascendant master of my subconscious thoughts, I am able to see myself looking down at myself while looking up at myself. Because of that, in the astral realm, for example, or in a serious projection of other ascendant masters, I am sitting in projections in a circle in a council of other fallen deities that we cannot see. Because I can see that through my perception of my mind, I am able to look within nature. I am able to look down at myself in a 3D simulation. And I'm able to not only orchestrate what I want to happen, but I can watch my thoughts and I'm able to articulate them very carefully. Which is why, of course, there are times where when I speak fast, when I'm slowing down, I'm trying to become conscious of my unconscious thoughts, because my subconscious mind will start going crazy because I'm getting different downloads that I'm able to actually put into my mind or my subconscious thoughts to make it make sense, because that's how hard it is to articulate just Almighty God's frequency in general. It's a contradiction for a reason. Because of that, for this waterfall to speak to me, for example, that is ignorance, because in my quantum realm or my Sirius star system projection that I'm living in, this waterfall never existed. But I am watching myself in the element of water. But the thing is, though, this is nothing but streams of consciousness flowing into itself, flowing through me, flowing to you, speaking in divinity. On top of that, as nature, when the crickets are talking to each other, whatever the case may be, they have their own language. They don't speak English, but they have their own language and their own frequency that they are able to communicate in. Because of that, these are nothing but subconscious patterns that they are able to combine together to create this sound wave or this sound barrier that other crickets can comprehend. But as a human or as a subterranean species, we're not able to comprehend crickets or their language, because they have practiced that since they were infants, basically, if you want to call it that. And the thing is too, Could you hear? Yes, you can hear the frequency of the Almighty creation, but you had to listen to that. And by me doing that, by me saying that, I'm able to actually hear what Almighty God is saying, but Almighty God never had to speak English for me to comprehend it. All I gotta do is just sit in silence like this. And once I sit in silence, that's when I'm able to, because the thing is too, I don't really hear nothing. That's why I'm able to make this video and forget about the waterfall, forget about people in their neighborhood, whatever the case may be. I'm able to ignore the outside noise because why? All I'm doing is going within. I'm recording myself going within myself because this camera never existed in the first place. On top of that, hold on, I'm gonna make sure I get this right. Could you hear, would you? Okay, could you hear, would you? And the thing is too, if Almighty God, so we're talking about the angelic frequency now. Could you hear the Almighty or would you hear? Yes and no, because you can hear what Almighty God has to say, but it's in your mind. Would you hear? Yes and no, because for one, like I said before earlier, if the Almighty God, so if Almighty God is speaking to us right now, this is exactly how it will sound. Almighty God, can you please give me more guidance towards this YouTube video to make it make sense? That's how simple it is. The Almighty said so many words, it was infinitely impossible for us to even comprehend it at this second, which is why the subconscious mind was put into place to be able to project thoughts from a higher mirage of subconscious thought patterns or habits or processes of these unconscious habits that we are practicing. We are able to hear God and Satan combined together. It's all duality. Because of that, you have to mix the good with the bad. If you're going to speak for one, you have to make it make sense for free, because common sense is not common anymore. Because of that, we live in a satanic agenda or a satanic realm of satanic frequencies, and we are born into that. Meaning the moment we decide to even say mom or dad, whatever our first words were, we were speaking unconsciousness. We were speaking unconsciousness upon his universe, upon his simulation. The thing is too, we are a bunch of simulators that simulated unconscious simulations from our tongue, from our mind. Two, by us speaking, we are basically prophesizing witchcraft from false prophecy. And we are fallen prophets. We are literally fallen angels. And because of that, we descended here for a reason. Meaning that if we go right back to where our home is, we never had to talk because we were using telepathy in the first place, or telekinesis. Meaning that we didn't have to speak with our tongue. But because we do, we have to mind our words. People speak English every single day and they still can't comprehend their own language. How is that possible? How do you speak English and you still don't understand what you're even saying? Which is why the moment you become smarter, the moment you want better for yourself, people will not be able to understand your identity anymore. Because once you detach from the simulation's identity or the ego, then you begin to really figure out who is who for who. And then once you go within yourself, you don't need anybody else but you, because everything is a reflection of you. Meaning that if you never talked again, a wise man once said nothing. That's how wise you are. If there was no language, we will all be wise within our own ways. But we were so accustomed to wanting to speak to each other because we weren't able to figure out how to go within to use telekinesis anymore. And that was our intuitive gift that we came up with within our own frequency of sound waves. Because of that, we were so intelligent even back then, even now. We can go back to that practice, but the world is too noisy now. We got cities, we got suburbs, we got social media, TV. There's so many distractions, there's so many sounds going on to where we can't go within no more, because everybody's trying to go without and not go within by going without. Once you go without of going within yourself, you're not able to actually hear what you're looking for, because the Almighty is able to speak to you and it's trying to tell you something. Meaning that once your body becomes conscious of itself and your mind becomes conscious of your body, not only that, but once your soul becomes conscious of your spiritual essence, once you align all these things together, you can hear things that people cannot hear. The normal person will not be able to hear what you actually are hearing, because what are you actually hearing? Nothing but yourself. And then two, because Satan is so powerful, to me this is beautiful, but I will be basically saying that this demonic frequency is beautiful. That's exactly why I have to contradict myself as well, because going out into nature is speaking to the Almighty creation. Because if you want to find where Almighty God is, go within. Once you meditate, are you talking? No, you're silent. But if you're praying to God, for one, you're praying to Satan, because you're speaking to this entity outside of yourself when it never had to say anything back to you. But that's the thing too. Subconsciously, Almighty God was so bored, and it was very enlightened. To its boredom, it descended its subconscious thoughts into fruition in a reality format that we call life. And because it did that, it was speaking to people and giving it prophecy, and people decided to believe it, and they called it Jesus. That's exactly why if Satan wants to call itself God, is it wrong? Yes and no. Because Satan talks to you just like Almighty God talks through you. Because Almighty God talks to Satan through you and to you. It may be demonic, it may be angelic, but either way it goes, angels are demons and demons are angels. So you have to be able to actually hear. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, because people talk too fucking much. If you knew better, you would do better. That's why you have to listen. Even if people are speaking ignorance, you have to listen to that and contradict it. And then you have to be able to carefully calculate and critically think what they are saying, because we are all spellcasters. We're speaking spells to each other. Once you can understand that and comprehend that, you can now figure out how you are able to articulate those thoughts right back to them, because we are all projecting. Once you understand that, you don't have to project negative programs right back to people. It is what it is. If you say something negative to me, you got it. Like, I don't give a fuck, because why you're projecting yourself, your ignorance onto me. I rebuke that energy. I'm too busy focused on divinity. I'm trying to find heaven on earth. I'm trying to go within it. And what's crazy, once I go without, now I see ignorance trying to come within as I'm trying to go without. No. At the end of the day, you are able to hear Almighty God's consciousness, but you have to become quiet and silent. That's exactly why the more wise you become, the more enlightened you become, the less you talk, because you're understanding how beautiful nothing sounds. You're able to understand how beautiful quiet and solitude and peace actually sounds, because you're going within and you're hearing your thoughts. That's how loud your thoughts are. Your thoughts are so loud that people want to hear what you have to say, even when you're quiet. You can be so quiet, somebody can say, what's on your mind? Nothing. Don't lie to me. I want to hear your thoughts. That's how important you are. Because the moment you speak, people know that those thoughts don't come from just being a regular human being. No, because the average person can't talk like this. But once you get in tune with higher frequencies in your mind, because they're all dimensions. Once you see a dimension in your mind and you can translate it right back into a 3D simulation, and you can help people understand what you've seen, and you can make it an experience through a canvas from a construct in your mind. Who are you then? I love you. Have a great day, God and Goddess.